Oops. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm. So, hi guys, how are you doing? Um, the broadcasts are getting simpler and simpler because I'm learning how to do them more and more while just with least amount of stuff. Can you guys hear me okay? It should be pretty good. Um, I'll get on my own internet, I think. And thank you very much for showing up here. Oh, I should actually get on the internet with my phone. So it might temporarily knock off the broadcast. So just stay on. I change my little signal. All right. Wow, I switched internet signals and it looks like it's still going. Can you guys hear me? Okay, guys. So, all right, good. Because I've switched to a really nice high microwave level broad signal, and so good. It looks like everything's okay. All I have to do is get my own little link. And so, you know, good. I'll do a test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, okay. All right, guys. So, thank you so much. All right, so it looks like it's all good. This is when I get really odd because I'm at this point of getting off of my existence out of the world and then letting Cartron do what he does. And so it's very interesting to be doing this. Um, so that's weird. Um, and so yeah. Respond one more time that everything's good and let's begin. There's no sense in even talking about the little stuff, right? Let's get right into the what we're really would be cool because in thinking about this, it reminded me of what we used to do all the time, which is edit time. And it was basically to make sure that prophecy was correct. Why? I'm looking at an old okay, good. All right, so I'm looking at that's weird. It's almost like my broadcast is not in sync with the chat on my computer. And so it's we used to do this all the time as far as editing reality and making things different in the past, but this one is a little different. Last Thursday's broadcast of the 15th was what Cartron did differently, and it was about basically not changing the past, but amplifying what was there. I don't know if that makes any sense. It should. And we haven't been doing outside broadcasts because it's like monsoon season or something, but at least it's not scorching hot like what Phoenix is. And so now Uranus was in Libra in August 1969. Is that what's happening now? So instead of me talking about all this and filling in with a little discussions, I feel like getting right into it because it just seems like there's something really yummy. Somebody had mentioned about they think that they got diverted from what they were really supposed to do and they didn't know if it was really their karma. And so a larger disturbance happened. And this is what we have been working on for a long time, for years, ever since Cartron came through, was taking these things that were illicit as far as prophecy goes or the interference of it. And so these things were done kind of unlawfully. Although, is it all divine? Is it all perfect? Is it all supposed to be? There is some interferences and some interruptions of things. And I've seen this happen so many times. And you guys, where you feel like, oh, the 60s, here it is, yay, or the harmonic convergence, yay, or some beautiful event, yay. But then something happens and it doesn't ever turn out. And so it's like the message that people get of the light nature is conflicted with what really happens to our perception here in this dimension. And so there's a couple things that it could be as far as larger concepts that we could present to you now, which would be good from our perception, is that um, we are going on a timeline of a correctness. We are also looking at this is the way it is. It's the unfoldment. It's what's been written for thousands of years. So obviously, this is how prophecy is going to unfold. And then also, there's this hacking in and interference because how many of you have at some point in your life, if not the 60s, amazing dreams and visions that you just knew was going to change the world? And so something came along, life set in, you met people, you went on this other direction, which made it really strange. How many of you have ever experienced that? And so you knew that something was going to happen, and then something comes in and says, no. So I'm in the theory of that because I've seen this so many times. There's a hacking in of the prophecy timeline, and that's why Cartron came through in the beginning. They kept trying to throw out light and heaven on earth. And so we were doing this timeline battle for bringing in divinity. That was in '94 when Cartron came through on Maui, and he rolled up his sleeves and kept going ever since. So I'll talk with you guys then. Well, actually, I'm going to talk to you now, and let's see what's going to happen. Have a nice day, and Cartron will come through. Rebecca was trying to be so quiet with the squeaky door, so don't pay any attention to her right now. And so that way she'll think she got away with something. Because how many of you have ever met people that think they're supposed to be getting away from it? Like the other day, Rebecca was looking at a label. She says, "Oh, I really want to tear it, but I know I'm going to be breaking the law." And Patrick said, "Sorry, sweetie, you've never broken the law because it's to be removed, not to be removed, except by the consumer." And so Rebecca, qualifying as a consumer instead of a salesperson, she's never broken the law, which was kind of a letdown for rebels, right? And so, how many of you were trying to sneak in these things and stuff like that to kind of get away with something? Because you're supposed to get away with something because the system just needs to be gotten away with. And so, there's so many things that come in, right, that are different than what you thought. And so, that's kind of a weird segue, but it was interesting to watch Rebecca go, "Oh, okay, so it's okay to tear these labels off? Well, now it's no more fun." And so, how are you guys doing today? How are you doing, Rebecca? Yes, it is tiring. Patrick is feeling several feelings. How are you guys doing today? And can you hear okay? Final tech check. You see, what we did during the harmonic convergence anniversary of August 15th, a few days ago, during the full moon, was we changed the dreams and visions matrix without moving it. And so it was seen that if instead of us changing it and bringing it forward and all of that, what if we just amplify it there where it is and give it the boost that it was supposed to have, but was taken because the energy is always hacked into and used for the opposite? And so, how many of you have felt like maybe that could have happened to you? And there's these things that should have happened differently, or maybe you should have had this life or met this different kind of person or whatever. And so just know that your suspicions are well founded because who knows how many manipulations happen, especially when you are caught, not caught, but in an environment of a collective matrix that shifts. How are you knowing when the timeline shifts, when everything shifts with it? And so does that relate to some of you? It's like, what the heck? And so Adelia and Elizabeth, that's wonderful that you guys are getting good times. You see, the energy is starting to be freed up in the past. And so the theory that Patrick was writing about a few hours ago, Rebecca, was what if all of the 60s energy, the potentiality of it, was burst forth all at once and freed from the lower timeline? What would happen then if the 60s got most of the energy instead of the war machine of death? What would happen then if love and light and consciousness and environmental awareness and stewardship and all these things kept going in their positive movement? And now corporations were doing the right thing, and the medical industry started getting into preventative health and staying in balance with the earth. And then those who mine the resources of this planet suddenly decided, well, we have to be sustainable. And those who had deadly products like cigarettes and other things were saying, you know what, this isn't right. And alcohol, it's destroying. And so it's time to really straighten this up. So we're going to wean you guys off of tobacco because we're going to give you some healthier alternatives. Imagine if the world was different after Woodstock. So today we're going to see if we can change the past to create a better future. And so what we are going to do is what we did last Thursday to work in 1987, and that was the stitch. So we're going to use another stitch. Patrick made no diagrams today. His multiple feelings that he was wanting to express, but then kind of got into some sometimes moment of like, oh, okay, and he lost his thought. Where's my brain? Have you seen my brain? I was over here. The little sucker's running away again. Was he's got this frustration, this undermining frustration on a larger scale, where he feels like, damn it, I'm supposed to be doing something different. And I'm supposed to be there, but there's all these little tidbits of third dimensional responsibility that come in. But there's something bigger going on. I can feel it. It's like irritating me to do the right thing and really step up into my power. And then there's this other feeling of it feels so good when he helps someone else and he makes their life a little better, or he does something else that makes someone's life more pleasant. When you are in service to such degree, the fulfillment comes from being the blessing to others. And then there's this other feeling of why bother? Because it seems like no matter what, there's all these little shenanigans going on of things that are trying to keep you from going into this pattern that you know you can do to activate a higher pattern, which will put you into that divine life. So can you guys relate to any of that? So it's very confusing. It's like a schizophrenic, bipolar, emotionally unstable type of energy. Now, what's interesting, and Adelia and Elizabeth, you're talking about how wonderful things are. Yes, there's a wonderfulness that's available at the same time that the chaos and dysfunction is there. That's what's wonderful about the chaos. There's a divinity that does exist. And so we have a question for you. How can you access divinity in a world of increasing chaos if it is sometimes not the most noticeable thing? Remember, we always have multiple levels in our discussions with you. So, how can you access divinity in a world that has all this other busyness going on and the divinity is not as loud? It's like, and so What you can do in the quantum field is basically tune in and become one with that divine frequency, not to seek it out, but you don't have to seek that which you are one with. Does this make sense, Rebecca? So now you have a situation to where you don't have to be caught in the cacophony of confusion. You can be available for the symphony of harmony that exists within all of that busyness by getting into your vibrational alignment with the divine. The soul that we breathe you into and the still point does that. And so today we are going to see if we can access the place in time where the dreams and visions were the greatest in this most recent age and see if we can do anything with it. How does that sound? And would you like to help us with this project today? um, Patrick looked at what Woodstock represented. It was the culmination of not only just the summer of love, but everything that the 60s represented. It was the highest level of love, light, new world, fulfillment of prophecy, heaven on earth, where all that joy and love and divinity was coming in because humanity's children had broken through. And so they said, no, we don't choose this industrial consciousness or this blank business profit making gray world. We choose to be unique and beautiful as people. We choose to have a life full of art and love, and we choose to take care of the world. In other words, all the correct thinking for the new earth, right? Now, a lot of people may have thought, oh, that's spacey, but really, would you like to have that world of love or the world of death that they kept shoving down your throat or whatever orifice was nearby because we're going to destroy it all and give you fear? And so the love just wasn't quite strong enough. It was basically at 10% of what it was needing to be in order to shift the collective consciousness of degradation and dysfunction that had been built over 12 millenniums. And so the momentum was very great, but it was not at the capacity to really create the fundamental quantum shift necessary to create a permanent and lasting divine change. So let's see what we can do to help your brothers and sisters, and perhaps that part of you that was left there during that summer of love in 1969. Because there was a hacking in of the timelines, and the way they would do that is like you got this consciousness focus that's really nice, it's subtle energy. It's like, oh, we have a war, or this is fear, or we're going to have a nuclear destruction, or we're going to do this, or we're going to kill your children, or whatever. So they always bring this boom, 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 right? Bring it down, bring it down, bring it down. Don't let it rise up. Got to keep you in fear. Got to buy your product. Got to keep you sick. It's like, where did this crazy house come from? And so here you are, beings of light in whatever time in the timeline, subject to this incessantly. It was like a barrage. It was like you were the soldiers on the beach at D-Day in Normandy. And you were the love, and it was all like fear, death. It's like, wow, this thing's got an attitude. And so it's like you had to put away the dream because they were going to keep attacking it. It's like good luck on trying to create a healing center or something like that. And so it was that only maybe one out of every 1 million visions were able to come in and start anchoring things in, like health food or environmental sustainability or, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's a very interesting thing when you know that this is what's supposed to happen, and then the world is exactly opposite. Now, to honor this properly, there a diagram would be appropriate to show you how there's a divine timeline coming in, right? And it's going up, and the world is collectively raising, blah, blah, blah. Then they got to go, oh, emergency terrorism, because we can't let it be too high. Did you know that Nikola Tesla had an invention that he submitted to Congress? And it was that he could set up a vibration on the planet that anything picked up with the intent of aggression would be dematerialized. And they said, no way. And so imagine if nothing could be used in an aggressive manner. Well, then obviously the 60s would have been in the 20s. But alas, Nikola Tesla's free energy was not good enough to continue a planet of dysfunctional, artificially propagated enslavement. When you are used to having a planet or race of slaves, it's kind of hard to get off of that tit when you're sucking on it dry all the time. And so, even though the nipple has been dried for thousands of years, you're still going to suck on it because the ones who are doing the sucking really will never, ever get enough until your planet is a dead desert and all the life force, all the spirit is harvested. And then their true nature will come out. Yeah. It's like, really? Wow. How did you get out? And so let's change the past, shall we? And put some more love and light in there. How many of you were a part of what we did for the harmonic convergence on Thursday, where we opened the portals in time and we sent the great central sun to your central sun in your galaxy in a series of portals, and we had that solar energy come in and give life and breath to the dreams and visions and seeds of heaven in that time. And so we gave them not really a fighting chance, but an extremely amplified, over steroided version of life. And so, isn't it interesting to be a part of that in a world where you bring in a seed of heaven on earth? The world makes sure that you cannot plant it, nurture it, and grow it properly. And so, that is one choice of one world. What we are doing here is for those of you who are saying, no, I do not choose a world of eternal death. I do not choose a world that has belligerence as world leadership. I do not choose the worst version of that to represent humanity in the name of something else. Because the very thing of making something greater is based upon an economy that has no substance. Ooh, we're all balanced economically now. Yeah, but there's no life force in the money. It is a fiat currency that is designed to continually perpetuate more and more debt. By the way, how's your new slavery doing? Are you feeling better economically? But now you have the worst versions of leadership, which is a self-serving, belligerent, and what do they call that? That loves its own reflection. And so that's what people are saying. Oh, they're saving us. Really? Well, we are wondering at what point you smashed your moral compass, because that is what is representing your country. Well, then you might as well just throw in the towel. And anyway, so let's do some work to see if we can create a little different conduit of continuum, shall we? When Patrick wrote for the King of Hawaii, and an article from 2008 just showed up, and he thought, oh, that went away, but now somebody just brought it back about when they were taking the palace back in Hawaii, and the police were there, and it was interesting. And the return of the palace energetically and legally was done on the very steps that the overthrow happened in 1893. That Patrick would write for a real leader, somebody who was there for their people. somebody who was making sure that everybody was fed and housed and clothed, everybody had what they needed. If somebody was hurting, they would hurt because they would feel it. If there's things being done to the land, they would feel that in their body because they're not separate from their office. And so they would make sure that every last person was taken care of. And so that was Patrick's version of world leadership. He's like, well, this is the right upstanding type of thing because it was from the 1800s. It was when word was bond, integrity was there, and government was a servant of the people. And so when he sees all this stuff that's going on, it doesn't compute because how can you even have that belligerent dysfunction of self-serving servitude be even close to having any moral fiber to represent people? Because you have to be a good person. And you don't sacrifice it in the name of some gain, especially if it's for, not everyone. And so Patrick was not is saying, I'm not going to be a part of this game. That's going through its cycle, and that's wonderful, and that's what people are choosing as a collective it expresses. But wait till they see what happens next. And by that time, there won't be a backing out. And so Patrick has chosen to keep in his perspective what a true leader is somebody who is honorable, keeps their word, and is always there. So that king that he wrote for is in the most humble of houses, and he never really needs anything much, and he's just right there for the people. So this is the version of leadership that would come in a world that has true stewardship, where there is light and love at the end and beginning of that tunnel. And so now let's see if we can change other things, shall we? Are you guys ready to assist us in seeing what we can do? Because they would then artificially propagate and enslave and hold down those dreams and visions, sucking them dry for their dysfunctional control, manipulation, enslavement, domination, bringing in disease, that other stuff of death, right? But this is the love and light ray that was coming in. How many of you knew you were going to get this thing and you're supposed to do something and it feels like you got detoured big time? And so it wasn't your imagination wondering why that dream didn't get the energy that it required because it was being sucked dry. That other energy of parasitic dysfunction in the shadow was feeding off of it in a slow, sucking way over the years. That energy is for life. It is for fulfilling prophecy. It is for fulfilling the earth's vision of being heavenly again. It is for returning Eden. It is for putting in place those beings, the most advanced species, so to speak, to be the caretakers and stewards of it. Kind of a far cry from what you are in right now, isn't it? And so, to whatever degree, let's see what we can do to change that then. Archangel Michael, please sound the clarion call as we open the portal to the grand hall of the archangels. We open the gateway to the ascended Lord and Lady Masters of Shambhala. Kuan Yin, please open up the garden of the gods and the states of grace. Galactic Federation, we open a portal to you now. Karmic Board, it's time to make ready to receive some payment and dispensation of that. And also, we're calling upon the Lords of Time. We are calling upon the Time Walkers because we know what to do with them. And now we're also calling upon the Halls of Judgment. We are calling upon all your higher selves. Everyone, take your first breath of yourself. 1, 2, 3, breathe it in, who you are. And then exhale, releasing yourself, fall into stillness. Breathe in the greater purpose of your being. because anything of a higher nature, this is like but a shadow version of it, isn't it? Like kind of like it's just a little echo of that greater possibility of fulfillment of heaven on earth that the 60s represented. And so now, as you hold that and exhale, you then allow the solace to overcome you. And now it is time to breathe in the soul above, the curtains open within. Hold that breath with the solace and exhale into your souls. Feel this energy. You have done this several times, most all of you, but this time just feel we added something a little different in your soul frequency, a little more alchemy. Now we're going to do once again like we did on Thursday. We're going to put a time marker up through your God gates. We automatically install those now. The three primary methods are God gate, pillar of transformation, and still point within that we created in 1995. And so now we are going to put a crystal pillar at this moment in this broadcast up into the heavens through your God gates. 1, 2, 3. Now, and now we anchor it into the earth. 1, 2, 3. Now. Now, on the count of 3, go from your soul up to the realm of spirit guides above the veil of life and death. 1, 2, 3. See yourself up there also. And there's the right time, like we have shared with you before, reaching up with the hands of God. We're going to move it past. And as we go, you just keep going further and further and further back in time because we got that marker in 2019, right? And you keep going, and the harmonic convergence of 87 is right about there. That feels like it's doing well for those who have the God sight to see. And let's keep going this time to 1969, August 17th, the summer of love. And you can feel it. There's a great spike of light coming from the world in the realm of mankind. So let's set our dials to that time of when consciousness and awareness and light and freedom was at its greatest. And so right about, ooh, baby, sweet spot. Let's put a crystal marker there. Now, and now, um, we have to plug the phone in, otherwise this broadcast will end quickly. And now we're going to anchor it in. Remember, you're above the veil into the earth right there. And mostly in Woodstock, New York. Ironically, Rebecca has to go there in a few months. And so excuse us while we save this broadcast. And so now, like we did before, we are going to get some extra power. We will read the comments soon. And Patrick is like watching, he really has to watch his devices not to run out of power. It seems like there's an extra use of juice. And so, how are you guys doing? And so now, in the great central sun, which is the sun of suns, we now take and open a gateway in that one. Now, Sirius is a spiritual sun, but we're not talking about that one. We're talking about, well, you know, the sun of suns. And so to see this really great giant sun, it's like 1,000s of times bigger than your sun. We're opening a gateway in that. We're joining it with your central sun of your galaxy, opening a portal in that, and joining the two together. Remember, it is with absolute knowing that you conduct things in the quantum unified field as the power of God. So now in your local sun, we are going to 1, 2, 3, open a gateway there. And now we're going to create an accordion of great central sun, and local sun. And now we're going to open a gateway in the crystal matrix grid on the outer Earth. Basically, we're using the same system from a few days ago. Remember, we did a 24-hour cycle. Every hour, it would click and do another boost, another pulse. And so now, on the count of three, we open the gateway in the crystal matrix grid, which is outside of the atmosphere of Earth, and join it with the sun. 1, 2, 3, now. So now you have great central, local, and then CMG, crystal matrix grid. See, this time we're going to give it an extra boost of the extra energy. Because there was a usurpation, it means there's a lot of crystallized artificial pseudo timelines. And so let's give so much energy that those things, those structures, the artificial construct of restriction can't handle it. How does that sound? We're going to have so much light that these things get to vibrationally go where they're supposed to, instead of be this incarcerated little tethered shackles around the ankles type of thing. And so we ask Rebecca's angels to form a solar angelic portal. And now this then is the angelic reinforcement. We're going to ask also the avians, the bird tribes, to now align their ships with this, because we are bringing in the prophecy of after the warrior cycle is complete. See, in some ways, this is a continuation of the Iroquois project that we did a few months ago up in upstate New York, which happens to be where Woodstock is. And so now we're going to open that gate up because the white people, the new agey, spacey 60s people were holding that field. No wonder they couldn't be grounded. And the American Indians were the ancestral stewardships of timelessness, right? And so now we're going to open a gateway in the ancestral indigenous consciousness, and we're opening a gateway in that new age thing. And the mind that we're going to access in Woodstock, New York, right now, 1969, is in the heart of the 60s. So everybody just feel the heart opening up then, if you were there or you were alive at that time. Just feel the past you opening up in the heart space, like a beautiful power. It's like almost, whoa, too warm, too vibrationally amazing. Because now it's time to take the vision, the seeds of heaven on earth, and amplify them so greatly that now they will be free. The fine print you ought to be notified about, the disclosure, is that if this energy of the totality of the 1960s gets freed up, here is a list of the things that could possibly happen. 1, you have a niceness in business and government. 2, the anger and the vengeance and the vileness in people starts lessening because the foundation of perpetual conflict and shadow and darkness is going away. 3, everybody's issues comes up all at once, even more. Yay, because we're going to zap the shit out of it. And let's see, 4, the children will wake up even more. And so now there's going to be greater chaos because anybody that has anything where they're dodging around is going to come up in their face. Now, you see, most of humanity in this time of this version of time of 2019 is all playing mind games. And they're like stuck in the intellectual matrix, la-di-da-da-da, and they can't get out of this pinball machine. And so imagine zapping the heck out of this. And now the heart says, wait a minute, love and peace and light. And now the mind says, too hot from below. And so it's going to bring up all the mental issues. This is where you guys, as pillars of light, of heaven on earth, come in handy to hold the place of peace. So the chaos may increase if we do this. And so the other thing is, right thinking comes in. because it is diseased and lower thinking, which creates diseased and lower creations and intents and actions and results and effects. And so that means 1969 onward becomes a very different past. That means that the war no longer needed as a catalyst of conflict, of destroying thousands and thousands and thousands of lives, would not be required as a catalytic activation of the 60s, because remember, the 60s was battle born. It's like, well, you're going to come home in a box. Well, we better start joining them together in love, because we're not choosing your version of bullshit reality. You go and come home in a box. You go create, be in the world that you created. You go and fight. You show us how it's done. We're going to be over here and we're going to celebrate life instead of be victims of death. And so, how many of you are ready to give back their version of reality that the 60s was wrought into artificially, forced into an enslavement to be perpetually food source, and used for the exact opposite? We're going to take your dreams and visions and ideas, we're going to make business off it and profit, and reverse it and control, manipulate, dominate. We're the greatest, most profitable game. Instead of opening up to the visions of heaven that would have come in and created the sciences and technologies, oil wouldn't have been necessary. It would have had perpetual energy. There would be minimal hospitals because everybody would stay in harmony and stay healthy. Genetic modification of food? What is that? Tobacco? Oh, that was gone shortly thereafter. Anything that was detrimental to life, it was deemed by the governments and the people that it was not appropriate because it could bring harm to society. And therefore, people decided all over the world that conflict was unnecessary. And they chose to resolve their differences through ancient ways like Ho'oponopono and other ways, so they could then sit there and talk about it rather than use things like food and ignorance as tools of political manipulation. Oh, I'm going to steal your resources. Well, I don't need your resources because now our country is self-sufficient. We have so much goods that's all locally created that we don't even have all this trucking and transport necessary because everybody has what they need. There's only a little bit of transfer. And now foreign trade is the arts. So we don't have gas pumps anymore. We just turn our cars on and everything runs. We have no electric bills, no utilities, because that's what it's there for, is to pay us back for allowing it to exist in the first place. And so, guys, this may bring up a bit of a fuss. Are you guys okay with doing this next step? Because once it starts, it's going to create a cause and effect to catalyze love and life to return to this world in the best scenario. If not, well, we sure gave it one heaven of a shot, didn't we? Because it's time for the 60s to get an inoculation from the shadow. And so now we're going to add something different. And we've tested this out. And so now the beta tests have worked. So we're going to theta pulse a paradigm. The theta energy will come and it will grow and it will go through time. We've never really sent it through time. We did a little bit as a test. But the theta pulse corrects things as it goes by. There's no therapy. There's no like over and over and over again. It just corrects things. And so imagine if one movie of a correction was just basically going and phasing in as the other one phases out. And there's this fuzzy line in between them. And now people are going, whoa, and there's no more disease thinking. So if things get more chaotic, then just have more peace, breathe more from your soul. Do you guys consent to being vessels to bring in this light to the greatest degree so that our immediate ancestry, including those of us that are that, also get that breath of life instead of the sucking dry of death? Are you okay with the cause and effect that it will create in the best scenario and have all these issues come up and everybody receive the energy that they're putting out now and then? Doesn't that feel good? Instead of like, oh, it was them, all this finger pointing, now everybody looks in the mirror and says, oh, you know what? I was too harsh, or I did not stay open to that view. And you know what? Just because they're different, well, I'm actually grateful that I have someone different instead of how dare you come into my country because you're not like us type of thinking. This dis-ease of intellect has become the greatest disease of the world. Adelaida, how about this if we then make this your birthday present? A better past and a brighter future. It is on this day then that we open the portals. And now we're going to ask the great central sun, and we're going to install a theta pulse in the great central sun of suns. And this theta energy, having been tested on Earth, being that correction field that is a great, beautiful restoration of that which is, can now be given as a gift from this world to the great central sun to be used and available to correct other worlds in preparation for the new dawn of creation. And so now we add this theta pulse in the great central sun in the core of it, and it can mingle and be a part of it. This great central sun, the consciousness of it can choose how much of it is there because it's very alchemical. And so now it is our gift to say thank you for giving life to the universe itself. This is our answer to your prayer. And so now we ask the great central sun to take that theta pulse energy and project it through the portal to the central sun of your galaxy, in the heart of your Milky Way. And as this goes, it projects that ray and it then also changes the central sun of this Milky Way galaxy. And now we ask that it be given to your local sun. 1, 2, 3. Yes, Rebecca. And so, Elga, you know those sons that you've been working with? It's time to ask them for some assistance because their bodies might have changed, but their beings are there. So, could you send a call out now? For it's time to create a matrix of suns to hold the fabric, the field, the omniversal fabric of the Metatron, to hold that fabric, to allow a stabilization in the hollow matrix of Earth as it goes through a fundamental change, even on the atomic level. We're talking like even their atoms and their valence bonds, people, because a unified field of love comes in. It's very different than the polarized field of conflict and separation. This is an atomic issue, all right? So as the sun gets this theta energy, and now we join it and ask the crystal matrix grid to receive this. And so now, everybody, we're going to send this into the crystal pillar right in the middle of Woodstock. We're going to open up the hearts of all those people attending there. And everything that connected with basically covers the earth because all this cause and effect, the collective natures, everything that they were holding. Remember, these beings were from all over the universe because they were here to bring Mother Earth home. And so now we ask them to open up their hearts as the concert is peaking into a beautiful day. And now we send this love into them. And this is so bright that it begins activating and crystallizing their flesh into their light body. This then creates parents who can, when joining together, begin the diamond lines right away. So that means some of you are becoming the diamond race, which is collective of souls to come together to change reality. So now, on the count of three, we're going to have everyone at Woodstock breathe in this light of the great central sun. 1, 2, 3. Now, everybody be there with them now and breathe it in. Because even though knew what they were doing, a few of them knew greater what they were doing, but in some ways they had no idea the ramifications this was going to have all across the universe. And now feel this changing them, changing the concert, correcting reality, and from there it ripples out and keeps going all over the world. And now another pulse, great central sun, directly into the hearts and minds of those holding those seeds of light, as they now, and their flesh basically bursts open and becomes the illuminated race. And now this then goes out to the world. And everything that they are part of, every belief, every philosophy, every collective nature also becomes transmuted in 3, 2, 1. Now, see this go through the philosophies, the secret societies, everything. And so the negative thinking, the harshness, the separation, the violence just gets transmuted into love. So this then does not stay in 1969, August 17th, does it? Because now it's so great, it will go backwards in time and begin transmuting it. So let us now have this go all the way and it will go up to 2019, and we'll have it go back to 1919. 50 years in both directions. So their parents get transmuted, and so do both world wars. How are you guys doing? What was that? Who is? We are? Oh, we were just called Studley. Where's our wrinkles? Have you seen them? Oh no. And so, yes, the wrinkles will go away, as Rebecca was referring to. Interesting, the lens, the cloudy lens of mortality and linear time starts clearing up when the vibration changes. So now you start seeing things with the beauty of the fifth dimensional lens at some point, like what the Celestine Prophecy movie attempted to do. And some of you have found this. You will see that fifth dimensional spirit body in everyone and everything, and it will be this glow. It is not drugs, it is a dimension. Yeah, seeing things as they truly are. So we're not going to have this happen for 24 hours. We're going to have this happen for 50 years. And it will come in perfect time. Be open and available for the past that changes into love and light. Be available for the kindness that now knocks on the door in your temple of love. Be available for the abundance that is coming your way, and just say yes to this heaven. Remember, as the paradigm changes, so do the thoughts, so does the negativity, so does all the detractions and negation. And as they fade away, and you basically just open up to love, you don't even have to bid them farewell. For those who are choosing to keep into those patterns, they will go into their dimension. But there is a version of everyone that is love and light incarnate. This broadcast is complete, and the divinity has just begun. They may not hear the happy birthday song with our noise filtering. So Rebecca is doing happy birthday to you. And so you'll have to bring it right up to here, sweetie. Thank you so much. Would you like to say anything, or is that good for tonight? And so, thank you, everybody. And this is Cartron. We are complete. Have a wonderful day and a beautiful ascension and a glorious heaven on earth. Patrick will return now. Farewell. Mm. Hi, guys. It is, Adelaide, a soft energy. And when I come in, I get a reading. I'm like, okay, let me just get a little litmus test. And I feel a quieter energy now. Now, maybe I am biased because I'm right there with the Cartron. Yay, let's hope all this works. But I try to be, I work on being as neutral as possible. But I do feel a softness. And so, how are you guys doing? If there's any really cool things happening, let us know. And we really want to thank you for this ongoing support because isn't this cool? Even if we change life for a few souls or whatever, or maybe the whole world, then it's all worth it, isn't it? And that support you guys have given is just, it makes it possible. Otherwise, I'd have to get a day job. Oh my God, or a night job or something. And so, guys, we'll talk with you later. And you have my emails. It's all good. Yeah, let us know how it is because this is different. Now, remember, Gartron put in a theta pulse from this great central sun. We've done theta pulses. He has. And that stuff, oh boy, that will kick out weirdness. And so these theta pulse 60s from the great source of source, right? So let's see what happens. Also, one of the things that I do is I watch the headlines. And there's something really cool that I just wrote out today. This is the mechanics of timeline changes, which means what are the details on how to best prepare yourself for a timeline jump. It isn't about love and light. No, okay, I'm going to make a little leap. No, this is about considering your life like a company that you're liquidating because everything of your existence is invested in, existence. And so, if you are going to become completely available, it's time to basically exchange the investments that you have of your energy, your time, your focus, your vibrations, intent, relationships, and all that stuff. So it was really interesting today. I was getting some really wonderful information about how to prepare, best prepare, and really kind of like pack your bags on this dimension so you can be available for the really cool one that you know you're supposed to be in. Kind of goes along the lines of this 60s change, doesn't it? And so if you want, we can turn that into a master's retreat. Ooh, in different parts of the world. So thank you guys for everything. We will talk with you later. Life is good. Oh, Elga remembers the first timeline change 6 years ago. Wow, that's kind of like a weird concept. Okay. Yeah, guys, we'll talk to you later. Life is good. Oh, yeah. Mm.